DSE-TV's Living Green series, another episode of Forever Young here at the Henry Street Health Hutt, sitting with owner Erik Johnson and our new guest host, Shanti. Shanti, what's your last name?
Davey.
I never asked you that. What?
Davey.
Davey. Shanti Davey. I always know her as Shanti, the lady who makes the chocolate. We'll talk about that later, too. She brought me some chocolate. So I really like her. She's great. But today, we're talking about fluoride. Right, guys?
Yep, that's the plan.
Now, okay, I have to tell you all, I know not much about fluoride except that they say it's supposed to be good for your teeth, but I'm also told that it is not good at all, and that it's a very, very bad thing that we need to watch out for. Please enlighten me. Guys, educate me. What's the deal with fluoride?
Well, even if it was good for the teeth, how is like drinking city water through a straw good for your teeth with the fluoride passing right, not even touching your teeth and going right into your body? How could that be good for you?
I guess that makes sense.
By putting in the drinking water, say we put a bunch of fluoride in this water I just gave you.
Right.
I just put a big dose of fluoride. How would that help your teeth? It's going right into your body.
Because it's
not even touch your teeth.
It's just passing over my teeth. Okay.
Yeah,
so tell me about what fluoride does to my body.
Oh boy. Well, let's talk about what it is to your teeth, for starters. Fluoride weakens the very bone structure that your teeth sit in.
Okay.
We know that fluoride is a contributing factor to osteoporosis and osteopenia. We know it weakens the bones. There's plenty of evidence, I think, to support that.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was tried there were trials done for osteoporosis, high doses of fluoride, and every single person had hip fractures.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
So everybody getting this constant dose of fluoride, whether they be drinking city water, could actually be hurting people, or is hurting people.
It's definitely hurting people.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how we learned about fluoride. How did fluoride ever take off? How did they ever start to think it was good? When did they decide it was bad? Can you answer that, either of you?
Well, it's we were speaking about earlier. There's a couple cities in Texas that naturally their water, the groundwater, the aquifer where the city's water comes from,
right,
is naturally high in fluoride. And they noticed people that although they had fluorosis, they had discoloration of the teeth.
Okay.
They did have fairly strong teeth, and so it was extrapolated that this naturally occurring fluoride, something clicked in somebody's mind, probably the aluminum industry, where they wants to get rid of fluoride.
Okay.
Somehow that cooked up in several people's brains that maybe fluoride, good for teeth. We got a lot of fluoride we don't know what to do with. Let's dump it in the water. Let's dump it in the water supply.
Okay.
Also, the Nazis and the East Germans did lots of research on fluoride as well.
They did?
Yeah, and drug companies did a lot of research on fluoride.
What was the reasoning, do you know, behind it, doing the research?
Just they did research on there's on the periodic table, they did research on a lot of these minerals.
Okay.
Fluoride is a halogen. It's in a group of minerals called halogens.
What are halogens?
Halogens are just they're a type of minerals that are almost like part mineral, part gas. They're almost like a gas.
Okay.
They evaporate quickly, and so there's been every compound you can think of. These people have done research on.
Okay.
So we don't know the real reason they put fluoride in the water. It's not really known. I don't think it's clear why there's fluoride in the water, because there's really no evidence that it's good for the teeth.
Okay.
I can see where people might think that, given all the amount of advertising that's been done in marketing for fluoride for teeth.
Because they say that the toothpastes contain fluoride. They promote that.
Right. Well, fluoride, it might have some benefit for the teeth in the right form.
Okay.
But it'd be far more beneficial just to remove the acid from your diet to help your teeth than it is to put fluoride in your diet.
When did they first decide that fluoride was not good for the body?
Almost right away. Well, people were protesting it right away.
Okay.
When they started putting in, I think in the 50s. Was it the 50s? They started.
The late 40s, they started with the test between Grand Rapids and Muskegon.
Yeah.
Really? Tell me about that.
So even before that.
It was a 15-year test, and Grand Rapids had the fluoride in their water. Muskegon had no fluoride. It was the control city. And after 6 years and much advertising, false advertising, by the way, in the Grand Rapids area about how it was helping the teeth. Muskegon dropped out of the study and started fluoridating their water. And those studies, there's whole books written on those studies. They were flawed. The statistics were done wrong. They left out information. There's just pages and pages of data on them. Those studies would not be accepted nowadays as scientific studies. And everything all this fluoride that's being put in the water is based on those studies. There's been no new studies to date in multiple cases across all countries of the world that the ADA, American Dental Association, or the CDC, or the EPA has ever shown that fluoride is good for anything except for topically on the teeth, not ingested.
But topically only when mixed with calcium, phosphorus, and one other mineral. Those studies were all done where it was blended, and it sat right on the teeth. Over a long period of time. It was like pasted onto the teeth that it did show anti-cavity benefits.
So the benefit they say that it's good that it's doing for us, it's really not doing for us in the water. It can't do it for us, and it's a lot of harm being caused. Aside from the bone issues, it's 24 studies in the last 10 years have proven that it lowers the IQ of for a child in the utero and for an infant and all the way up. It lowers the IQ throughout the life of the child.
Really?
Yes. 24 studies. No other studies have been refuted. When the ADA comes in and tries to force the fluoride issue, they have no studies to prove any. They just, I don't know. I don't understand how they can get away with it. There's nothing to prove that it's good.
What I'm wondering is, usually there's a money reason behind these things. Who's making money, and how could it doesn't seem like that's even happening? So why do it?
Oh no, people are making money off of it. Actually.
Are they?
People are the municipalities are buying fluoride. Actually, I think it comes in a powder in a bag, and it's dumped. And there's machines used to disperse it into the water. A company sells these machines that disperses it in the water.
Wow.
It's either done as a gas. Sometimes it's done as gas cylinders. They actually. And sometimes it's done as powder, depending on what type of system you have.
Okay.
So the aluminum industry, for example, has a toxic waste they have to deal with. But they turn toxic waste into a product they can now sell.
Okay.
So not only do they not have to dispose of the toxic waste, which is very expensive, but they now have a new commodity they actually sell.
Okay.
So it turns a liability. They're turning lemons into lemonade. But this is a true lemon.
And it's also that nowadays most municipal water supplies are fluoridated with waste from the phosphate fertilizer industry. So they mine phosphate from the ground, and when they separate the fluoride from it, before they put in these wet scrubbers that they pull it out with, it used to become a gas during the process of processing the phosphate. And all the farms around these processing companies, the animals would die and all the crops would die. So just the fluoride coming out in a gas form killed all nearby vegetation and all animals. So they put these wet scrubbers in that pull it back down in a gas form, and they sell it to us. And that original study was not even done with this. It's the original fluoride that made the tooth strong was naturally chlorine fluoride. These are acidic fluorides that are being put in our
completely different substructure.
Yeah, completely
just
different.
no relation.
So
to
it doesn't
each other.
even relate to those original tests.
I wonder if this has at all been linked to autism or ADHD or any of those.
Definitely, there was a spike in ADHD when they started putting as well as in the water, but when they started the school programs where they had the swishing programs at school, there was a big spike in ADD and ADHD.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. It makes you wonder, though, I mean, if you look at how autism's running rampant, I mean, what do they say, 1 in every 100? I mean, it's unbelievably high that how many babies will have some form of autism.
I mean, that could just be a combination of all the toxic soup of many compounds.
It's just curious to me that all of a sudden now we're seeing all this stuff. You know, it's like something's going wrong. Right. Though, you know, once again, we'll reiterate that we aren't doctors, and this is, as Polly always would say, news you can choose to use or refuse. We hope you use it and don't lose it, right? Because it is good. And don't refuse it. Yeah. We're going to write a song anyway. Shanti, I'm curious, how is it that you decided to become involved in fluoride issue? What made you, what inspired you?
Well, I just started researching what's the best water, and then I started reading all this different the fluoride studies and stuff like that, and I was shocked to find it. And I even made an effort to find studies that disproved it. You know, on the internet you can go and find a lot of stories proving a lot of things. So I thought, okay, I found tons of scientific studies out there. I found whole action networks that are dedicated.
That were anti-fluoride.
That are anti-fluoride, and so I went and looked for anything that could say the opposite. Yeah, okay. There is nothing. I mean, there are some ADA little promotional videos, but they're fluff. They have no scientific basis for them.
And also, I think it's probably the overriding thing. You would ask this, okay, say for example, Grand Rapids has fluoride in the water. We could pick another similar sized city that doesn't have fluoride in the water, and they look at it. Is there any difference in tooth health? It is so negligible. There is no noticeable difference in tooth health.
Right. I'm curious too.
Grand Rapids, an interesting fact, it's the longest fluoridated city in the nation. It has the highest amount of dentists per capita ratio of any city in the nation.
Curious too, if you took a city like Grand Rapids that was highly fluoridated, you took a city that wasn't, what would be the incidence of osteoporosis? You know, that's interesting to me too, is in the higher, fluoridated areas, is there a higher incidence of?
There may be a study like that. I'm not aware of it. There may be a study.
I would just be curious to know what it does to the bones and other parts, what is actually happening to the bodies. We do have to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk more about fluoride, and I'd like to know some more about water, if you guys can help us answer this. What kinds of water is safe to drink? So we'll be back with more Forever Young after a word from our underwriters.